बातिन, तू अव्वल तू आखिर, तू जाहिर तू बातिन, तू अव्वल तू आखिर, तू जाहिर तू बातिन, तू अव्वल तू आखिर, तू जाहिर तू बातिन. शुक्रन लिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, शुक्रन लिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. या अली मदद कामड़िया साहेब.
जी मलाली मदद फिर साहिबा, सुभान अल्लाह. जी Yali Mother friends, Yali Mother Dr. Sahiba, welcome to our Sunday morning.
Malandat. Okay, so Yalimda to all of you, and I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, thank you. So this is part 2, and so we are celebrating Imam's birthday. So I would just like to play this clip. I know yesterday Yasmin showed this picture. Yasmin, if you can click, is it possible? I'm not sure.
As you can tell, I'm a little emotional, but then who isn't when you reach the revered age of 80? So I am there, but I feel as though I'm 40, thanks to you. This has been a very, very happy occasion for me, and I would like to thank everyone who has participated in making this event happen. I would like to thank our musicians for their wonderful performance, and I would like to hope that each one of you will retain this evening as a moment of special happiness in your lives.
So we all know didar word is from didan, and this means observation, viewing, sighting, seeing. So there are multiple synonyms. We have also discussed that in yesterday class as well. Conceptually, in religious term and in Islamic and Smiley term, it is vision, which is particularly for the internal and external nemat or external bounties of gods and nature. And we can see wonders and marvels and the traces of divine mercy. We all must have seen maybe in some point in time, either physical or internal, with inner eye or with external eye, the traces of didar. And synonyms are lika, like in the religious terms, conceptual terms. Synonyms which we can find in Quran and Faramin is lika, batini eyes, inner eyes, ru'yat. These are the few terms which is used, and 5 senses are used for didar, particularly power of eye, which is said that it can contain the whole world in your eyes, and you can see all the things possible in your imagination from your eyes, and that is very close to the inner eye and very close to the spiritual eye. So eyes are a very powerful sense, and from that didar, the concept of the didar is like manifest, because it is the eye, whether external eye, but more so internal eye, and the eye of the heart and eye of the mind. So why didar is important? since this is very important concept, everyone wants to go to the level of didar, externally also and internally also, at the level of imam, to see imam or to do didar externally as well as do didar in a spiritually and intellectually. So in this term, when Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in Mamwars, when he was explaining the sources of happiness, one is the direct source, independent sources, and one is dependent sources. So he said that independent sources of happiness are many, and one of the source of the independence or happiness is that like all the beauty of nature. So he said that a night of star, I look up at night and I know the glory of stars. It is then that the stars speak to us, and the sense of this mystery in our blood. So feast your eyes on the miraculous beauty of the earth, rivers and seas, hills like tenants of the great, and camps and forest, and all are the army of the banner. So these explanation he was giving while giving the examples of the beauty of nature. And when we see those beauties, even we see flowers, even we see nature, stars, skies, rainbows, and we reflect, we think that they are talking to us, they are talking to us, and that internal reflection, when we see that we are actually giving a thought for a creator. So he is a creator, and we can give a thought of a creator, that the nature is so beautiful, then how beautiful a creator would be. So all these great gifts are actually freely given to us. So when Imam of the time or Allah has given these free gifts of nature to us to have a pleasure, to have a satisfaction, to have happiness, to have courage, then definitely the didar himself with the spiritual and the inner matter, how inner satisfaction and inner pleasure we will be having. Next, please. So when I said that we have some external eye and then there is an internal eye. So in the personal world, if you see, there are 4 worlds. We all have 4 worlds. One is the world of wakefulness. One is imagination, alame khayal. Then one is dream, alame khab. One is alame ruhaniyat, which is spirituality. So, and the wakefulness is this Zahiri alam, material alam. So, whatever these 3, spirituality, dreams, and imagination, they are like not under utmost our control, but they are dependent on what we do in the external alam or in the wakefulness. So our all actions and deeds of the wakefulness actually reflects on imagination and dreams and spirituality. So the welfare and the prosperity and the progress and the success of this world is dependent on wakefulness. So when we are awake and we have a knowledge and action and we yearn for didar, we do Girya Bazari, we do a lot of other things, that definitely reflects in our imagination. And the Alam-e Khayal is when we go to Baitul Khayal, is basically the house of the Khayal, house of the imagination. So that imagination, when we enter into that imagination, then the reaction of the wakefulness we can see in the imagination, and it continues echoing in the imagination. So it is very important, whatever we do in the wakefulness will be definitely comes in the imagination. We can imagine didar, we can imagine Jamaat Khana, we can imagine our good friends, we can imagine the picture of Quran, the picture of Maulana Hazar Imam, the picture of Imam's family. So these all we can imagine, but definitely we have to have that connection in the wakefulness. And then it also connect with the dreams. Whatever we do, it's the reflection that we see in our dreams. Allama Sahib has beautifully explained that all the dreams are actually the x-rays of our performance in this world, in this external world. So um, God is not that give the performance in the end in hereafter, after we spend 70 years of life or 50 years of life, and then we give that evaluation in the hereafter. He gives evaluation daily in our dreams, in our imaginations, and in our spirituality, so that we can analyze that where our spiritual ranks are, where are we going up or we are going down. And it also depends on our satisfaction of the heart, satisfaction, the happiness of our mind, our heart. So that all collectively dependent on imagination and dreams. And finally, in the spirituality, we can also see our deeds and didars. So in the spirituality and imagination and dreams, there is a vision, there is a didar. In imagination, we can also do didar. In dream, also we can do didar. And so these are the two steps. They would guide us that how our progress is going. So Allah has created these three worlds to guide our progress, and so that we can evaluate daily, on a daily basis, that where are we going, where are we reaching, whether our ranks is increasing, decreasing, static. So it all depends on that. And finally we will be given, definitely after, hereafter we will be given the final evaluation. But these are the four worlds, and out of these four worlds, these one, which is wakefulness, is very important to have imagination, dreams, and finally the spirituality, where didar will come. We will receive that didar in the ibadat, and we finally will see imam of the noor of the imam in the spirituality. Next, please. So these four worlds are very important. Um, and the important thing is about the didar. You cannot see the ayat here, I don't know. It says that Ya ayyuhallazina amanu atiullaha wa atiur rasul wa ulil amra minkum. So first, obedience is to God, then to Prophet, and then to ulil amr. We all know, and ulil amr is the pure imam or imam of the time. So obedience to God without Prophet is impossible. Similarly, obedience to Prophet without Imam of the time is impossible. And it similarly, it goes to all the concepts. Love for Allah, love for God is attainable through love for Prophet, and love for Prophet is attainable through love for Imam of the time. And this logically follows examples of vision, also examples of didar, also that didar is also dependent on the didar of Prophet and didar of Imam of the time. So through the blessed vision of the present and the living Imam, the vision of Prophet and God can also be attained. So through the vision, which is Zahiri vision, but more so Batini vision, Batini Didar, we can also attain the Didar of the Prophet and Didar of the Allah. And we all know the two basic conditions of the progress and didar, spiritual progress and didar, is the religious knowledge, particularly the knowledge of ilmul yaqeen, then to anul yaqeen, and towards hakul yaqeen. But starting point is ilmul yaqeen. So knowledge is very important. Knowledge of certainty is important. So all our doubts, questions, concerns, suspicions will be removed. And deeds. So when we say deeds or actions, means that those actions are in accordance with the pleasure of the Imam of the time. So therefore, obedience is important. Next slide, please. I think we are missing here the ayat and the Urdu thing, which is there in my slide. So I will circulate those slides, but I'm going to say that I have quoted one ayat of Surah Qiyamah 22 to 23. It says, Wujuhun yawmizan naziratan ila rabbiha nazira. उस रोज कुछ चेहरे तरोताजा होंगे अपने रब की तरफ देख रहे होंगे. Now, English translation is there are some faces that they will beam in the brightness and beauty and looking towards their Lord. So that means that at the time of Qiyamah, or there is some day where few faces are very bright and very beautiful, and tarotaza honge, very refreshed, and they are looking towards God. Now, what does that mean, that looking towards God? Because there is some arguments in Islam that some of the sects are saying that didar is not a possible reality in this world. Some says that didar is a possible reality only in paradise. Some are saying that didar is not possible at all. This is not a reality, not here in this world or not in hereafter. So then this ayat says that usros, there is a time, there is a day of judgment or day of qiyamah or a time of a qiyamah or a time of spirituality where few of the faces will be enlightened and very bright, and they are looking towards their Lord. This means that didar is possible, and usdin means at the time of the day of judgment. So everybody has their time of the day of the judgment when they leave this world, or even when they are in this world, when they have gone through mutu kabalantu mutu, like before dying spiritually before your physical death. So that is very important. So that means didar is possible. It is a possible reality. Is possible reality in this world also, and definitely in hereafter it is possible. Mediation is important because God cannot give directly. God's didar is not directly be attained, but through mediation of Prophet and through mediation of the Imam of the time. As in Hadith, it is said that he who has seen me has indeed seen God. And then there are two again in ayat where we can say that actually Prophet face, Prophet Imam's face is Allah's face. Prophet hands is Allah's hand. Imam hands is Allah's hands. Like in dua we say, Inna allazina yubayunaka innama yubayunallah yadullahi fawqa aydihim. So जो लोग तुमसे बैयत करते हैं वो खुदा से बैयत करते हैं और खुदा का हाथ उनके हाथों पर है. So that means the God, Prophet hands is actually the God hands. Like in Khutbatul Bayan, Maula Ali says, I am the face of God in the heaven and this earth. And the Tawil of this Farman is that Prophet and the Imam are the face of God. So when we say us roz, जब वो अपने रब को देख रहे होंगे, like the day, on that day of spirituality, or the time of the spirituality, or the period of spirituality, when few people, their face is enlightened because they are looking towards the face of God, and this face of God is actually the face of the Imam of the time. Next, please. So this is very important example in dua, where 3 times a day we do shahdidar. Shahdidar means didar of Shah, didar of Imam of the Zaman. So when we do shahdidar, that has a greatest meaning in this Shah Didar, and Pir Nasir Khusro also has alluded to Tawili interpretation, and Allama Sahib book Coolness of Eye also have given, and even in 100 questions, Allama Sahib has given all the actions which we do in dua, including Shah Didar, including sujood and Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, why we do all those actions, and what are the tawil. So I have just put here the Shah Didar, Didar-e-Zahir and Didar-e-Batin. So when we do Shah Didar, we look into eyes of our right side companion and the left side companion. So Tawil is that a mazhar of a divine Didar can also be done in our both companion who is in the right side and in the left side. Means the Momin is the mirror of other Momin, and all Momin have the light or the particle of Imam-e-Zaman of the time. So if Momin wants, they can see the reflection of the particle of Imam-e-Zaman. That means in this Shah Didar, we are actually in this concept, we are praying that may you get Didar of Imam-e-Zaman, and may I see your Didar in your eyes, or a glimpse of the reflection of Imam-e-Zaman in your eyes. So this is very important concept, and when we do Shah Didar, we pray to Imam, and we also pray for our companion on both sides that may you get a Didar, which is Zahiri and the Batini Didar of the Imam-e-Zaman, and you also get the Didar, and we can see Imam's reflection in each other. So this concept of holy Didar is a king of religion, existed in the time of prophethood and also in the time of Imam. So Tawil of right is prophet and left is Imam. So there is one another Tawil which Pir Nasir Khusro said that right side means prophet and left side means Imam. That means that if we do turn towards right and turns towards left, means that we can attain Didar of Prophet and Imam of the time as well. And by saying Shah Didar in both sides, in the language of wisdom, you should accept that attain both physical and spiritual Didar. So physical and spiritual. Physical is always considered as a left, and spiritual is considered as a right. So that means that the multiple aspect of turning towards right and turning toward left is actually prayer of the multiple didar level. And in the olden days, when it was very difficult for people to do didar. So when I know in Hunza and Gilgit and in Chitral, when anyone, any smiley like do didar in India, and then when they come back to their people, people valued that person. And people actually maybe do tawaf or circumambulate that moment that you have done the didar. Now we want to do tawaf, we want to kiss your hand, we want to maybe embrace you. And so they value that person not because of their personality, but because their eyes actually have seen Imam-e-Zaman of the time. So since that person has done the didar, that's make that person very valuable, and so very noble kind of popularity they gain because they actually have done the didar. And we have seen that those who are actually be in the Imam's like closeness, we always value them because they are there in with their closeness physically also, but also importantly spiritually. So those people who are spiritually at the level of having or getting that didar, they are also very noble, and are also very valuable. And I also say that right is batin, and which is the rank of the prophet, and the tawil of left is zahir, is the esoteric aspect. So when we do shahadida, this is a big wisdomful prayer of we give prayer to each other for the zahiri and the batini didar. Next slide, please. So even if we do didar, then Shah didar, then these things, if we keep in mind, that would be very helpful. Now, there are multiple ways of didar, and yesterday we discussed ilmi didar and some didar through voice. So it's like we say that the vision is not with eyes only, but also with knowledge, also with voice, also with zikr and the waves of light. So I have just described few of the senses that ilmi didar is divine vision getting through the knowledge in the form of spiritual and intellectual form. So sometimes when we read something and we get some knowledge, then we feel that we have gained very important manifestation of the Imam of the time, and some doors of light has opened to us, and we all have experienced such things, and we feel so happy and satisfied with few things which clicked in our heart, and that is also ilmi didar. The whole Quran and its wisdom is actually didar, because Quran actually is basically is in the form of Noor, and that Noor is transformed into the words in form of Holy Quran. So when Prophet Muhammad received those Nurani Hidayat, and that Nurani Hidayat with all the imagination, all those mushahidat, all those heats, all those Noor, and all those vision, he transformed that into words in the Quran, which is a physical Quran, but there is also a Nurani Quran, which is in the Imam of the time. And if we see this physical Quran with love, affection, and with the niyat of getting wisdom of that Quran, this is also one kind of didar, and also a prayer so that we can receive Nurani Quran also, and we go up to the rank of receiving the full Nurani Quran. Then didar through voice, which we can call sam'i didar, Imam's farman, Imam's talika, Imam's dua, Imam's voice. These all are giving us happiness, satisfaction, and that can turn into the divine voice, and we can continuously and constantly, when we do tasbih, we do listen to those farmans in Imam's voice, or maybe somebody's voice whom we our heart connects, and this is also a kind of didar, and we call it sam'i didar. Then didar in zikr. So since this is zikr is a light, and it is obtained and ardent for every perception and conception, so sometimes we have extraordinary zikr, and with amazing like kind of we feel amazing feelings, and sometimes in zikr we also feel maybe fragrances, we feel some light, we feel some vision in some extraordinary zikr, then that is also a kind of a light in didar. And Allama Sahib, when explains the waves of light in Dua Noor, and I like this statement, which I will read. It's a wave of light and didar. So when a faithful servant smile, being pleased by good news of the Quran or Islam, then you should understand that there is a wave of light on his face. So once we understand something, or we get a good news, or some question being answered, definitely there is a one wave of light will appear in our face. And if he or she becomes serious and concerned about the religion, then this is another wave of light. If a fortunate moment shed tears in love of the Holy Prophet for or the Imam for the sake of spiritual progress, then this is third wave of light. And this wave is very powerful, and it is expected that many of these waves can cause revolution in personal world. Moreover, when you see this 39 by 23, it is said that these all are the miracles of the light of skin, where actually its skin means आपके रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते हैं. So these basically in Quran it says that when momin do zikr, uske रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते means they are having goosebumps. So these actually is basically the waves of the light of maybe didar through touch. Somebody's some spiritual power has touched our maybe skin, therefore we feel that shiver, we feel that warmth, and those feelings comes when there is a zikr and very extraordinary giryavazari, or at the time of extraordinary zikr. Next slide please. So we have seen and we have discussed Quratul Ain means coolness of eye, and in Surah 25 ayat 74, Surah Furqan ayat 74, and those who pray, O Lord, uh, give us the coolness of eye from our wives and our offspring. And we discussed that Zuriyat and Zarrat. So Zuriyat means Zarrat. So this prayer is a prerogative of pure imams who have two kinds of children, physical children and spiritual children. So basically what this prayer is about, that we all are all spiritual children of the Imam of the time are the coolness of eye. And Imam of the time in the personal world, basically the Noor which is in our personal world, actually that is also Zarra or Zuriyat and has coolness of eye property. So that Zarra of the Imam is also the coolness of eye. And when we do didar, then that belongs to the coolness of eye. And when Imam says that I say how much you are constantly in my heart, in my thoughts, in my prayers, and I place my hand on the shoulder of each and every murid around the world, wherever you are in any corner of the world. So it's Imam is making this farman not just to make us happy, but this has a real meaning in it. And the meaning is that we are actually living in Imam. We have a connection all the time with the Imam of the time in form of Zurriyat. So we all are Zurriyat, which are spiritual children, and Imam's physical children are the children who are physical children, and one is spiritual children who are Zuriyat. They are also constantly in thoughts and hearts and prayers, means we belong to Imam. Our one end is here with physically with us, but the main end, which is the Nurani end, is with the Imam of the time. And wherever Imam goes, Imam is with us. And this has the wisdomful meaning when Imam says that you are always, means you are always, there is not a single moment where we are not with the Imam. And when Imam says that I keep my hand, or I place my hand on each of your shoulder, that means that Imam is not saying just to keep us happy, but actually it means that Imam is giving us the blessing. And then Imam says that my most warmest and affectionate paternal, maternal loving blessing, that all has a wisdom full meaning, that we are actually the zuriyat or a zarrat or a particles of the Imam. And one very important concept is also that we all are actually have the relationship with each other, and not only Smileys but all the mankind. They have a relationship, and we tend to forget that relationship. Therefore, God, in this world of particle or ALWEAZA, has created human being from Adam of the time, so that people in the paradise, when they are strung to this luminous thread, they can call each other a coolness of eye. So we are also the coolness of eye for each other, and we can feel that coolness because everyone has a particle of the Imam of the time in their personal world. So if we realize and if we understand that particle, and if we progress up to that level, we can see that particle of the Imam of the time in humanity and in our spiritual brothers and spiritual sisters. So that means that that is also Qurratul Ain, or a coolness of eye. Next, please. So the term Ru'iyat, I'm sorry if there are few Urdu things are missing. I think Yasmin doesn't have this Urdu uh, term. So, and so I think it says that in Quran 6:103, Surah In'am, ayat 103, La tudrikal absaru wa huwa yudrikal absar wa huwa latiful khabir. Like the inner eye cannot comprehend him, but he can comprehend it. Like खुदा फरमाता है कि तुम्हारी आंखें मुझे नहीं देख सकती, लेकिन मैं तुमको देख सकता हूँ. You cannot see me, but I can see you. So that means like idrak means comprehend. You cannot understand or comprehend the manifestation of my whole world, but I can easily comprehend you. So Allama Sahib says that reflect well, that you will see that this is indirect comprehension of the manifestation of his light. This is to say that divine vision is through his sacred light. This is established by many proof, both from Hadith and Quranic ayat. So divine vision is not only supreme bounty attainable by Mu'min after physical death, but also in this life when he experiences fana fillah, when he experiences spiritual annihilation with nafsani fana. So Pir Nasir Khusro said that बचश्मे सर जमालियत दीदिनी नीस्त, like सर की आंख से तेरा जमाल दिखाई देने वाला नहीं, वो शख्स जिसने तेरा रूहानी चेहरा देखा, कोई न था, चश्मे हकीकत ही थी. Means that you cannot see with the external eye all the manifestation of the Imam of the time, and all the mojizat, all the wisdom which Imam's light has. It is very important that we receive absar, we received inner eye, and our inner eye needs to be open to see uska jamal, uski beauty. So it is very important to open, which is sar ki aankh, is not important with this physical eye, is important, but not to comprehend all the manifestation of his light. So if we, or if a Momin wants to go into comprehension of or manifestations of Nurani Didar, that means it is important that we need to open our open our inner eye or a Batini eye, so that we can look Ruhani and Aklani Jamal. Ruhani beauty, spiritual beauty, and intellectual beauty. So to see intellectual beauty and spiritual beauty, it is very important for you, like Pir is saying, for you to um, open your inner eye, because this eye which is in your head or will not be able to see spiritual beauty and intellectual beauty. So it is very important that we open this inner eye to get spiritual and intellectual beauties. And when in one ayat it says Rizwanul minallahi akbar, means Rizwan, which is the pleasure of Imam of the time, or the didar of the Imam of the time. It's the invitation for all of us that Rizwan is above the paradise. So those who hold fast the rope of the God, those who are in the spiritual upliftment and getting spiritual enlightenment, that means they will eventually go into the paradise, but then also they will reach up to the destination of Rizwan, where you can see the Imam's vision, and when you can see, where you can see the Imam's pleasure, which is the higher rank than the paradise. Next. So we all have heard Wajhullah, means Chehra-e Khuda, or a face of God. So fruit of Shariat is Tariqat, and fruit of Tariqat is Haqiqat, and fruit of Haqiqat is Marifat. So in Shariat, um, in Shariat and Tariqat, there are some arguments that whether the face of God is there or not, although we say that Huwal Awwal, Huwal Akhir, Huwal Zahir, Huwal Batin. So Allah is Awwal and Allah is Akhir. Allah is first and Allah is last, and Allah is Zahir and Allah is Batin. So in a Zahir, when it's a manifestation, how it is possible we can look into Allah, or we can look Allah in a Zahiri form or in a physical form. So that means in Shariat and Tariqat, it may not be possible, but in Haqiqat and Marifat, logically, divine vision is possible in Haqiqat, and after the Marifat, we can receive the full face of God. Now, where is the face of God? Who is the face of God? In one ayat, it says that कुल्ल शैइन हालिका इल्ला वजहा, हर चीज हलाक होने वाली है सिवाय चेहरा खुदा के. So it seems that everything in this world will perish, only face of God will remain. So where is face of God? Who is face of God? And if face of God will remain, then what this face of God will do to us? So there are a lot of questions. So in Maula Ali and in many hadiths and many Imams Farman, face of Allah is Imam of the time. Face of Allah is was Prophet, and now face of Allah is Imam of the time, because Imam has said that I am the face of Allah. I am Wajhullah. Now, Imam of the time only will be there, existed, and then all other people will perish. It is not so. It is not that, but all of us basically spiritually annihilate in the Imam of the time. So that means we all will be in the face of God. So when Quranic ayat says that Kulla Shayin Halika, everything will perish except face of God. Why? Because everything will annihilate everybody who are now in the form of Zuriyat or Zarrat will eventually be annihilate in the face of Imam or Imam of the time. So therefore, we will be there in the Imam of the time. We are still there, but after the death and after spiritual resurrection, we will be in the Imam of the time, who is the face of God. So this is basically Panafil Imam. So we will be fana in Imam, and everything is perishable except Imam, means that we will systematically will be all people will ultimately merge into the Imam, and we will become Surat-e-Rahman or Rahmani Surat, or the face of Rahman. So this is basically Surat-e-Rahman, means that we are the face of Allah, we are the face of God, or we are the face of Imam once we annihilate, or after we see Imam spiritually and intellectually. So I think this will be the last one. Next, please. So final thoughts, didar is very important concept, and we all give very, very importance to physical didar, because this gives the message for all of us to reflect on the spiritual and intellectual vision. So this external didar is a blessing for all of us, and it gives satisfaction. It shows how much Imam of the time love us, and how much he is like he actually give us the spiritual blessings during the external didar, two, for us to get into or reflect into the spiritual and intellectual vision. And Prophet is vicegerent of God, and the Imam of the time is vicegerent of Prophet. So didar of the Imam is the didar of Prophet, and didar of God. So didar of Imam is important, and obedience also, obedience of Imam is obedience of Prophet, and obedience of Allah. Sayyidina Qazi Nauman said that to look at the face of Imam is worship, and to look at the Quran is also worship. So when we see Imam, this is ibadat, and we see Quran, this is ibadat. So one of the Zahiri ibadat is to look at the face of Imam and to look at Quran itself. But more than that, it is looking or seeing the wisdom of the Noor of the Imam of the time, and having and attaining the wisdom of the Quran with love and the devotion and worship. And in according to Quran, on the day of resurrection, Mu'min will have the didar of God. We have seen, and how this didar will take place, while God in such, God is like according to all other, God is invisible. So answer which Allama Sahib has mentioned in Coolness of Eye, the book which is Coolness of Eye, that this didar will be in the form of a prophet and Imam, and in the form of perfect man, or the form of Surat-e-Rahman. So which is the Surat-e-Rahman and face of God. So I think I'll stop here. My time is over. Any questions, comments? Thank you. And I'm sorry for this slides mishap. I don't know. There is some change in this outlook of GoToMeeting, so I could not share my slides. Thank you.
Subhanallah, Dr. Saiba. Friends, please share your questions in the chat, or you can unmute your device and I can ask a question. I think one of the friends has a question. Ji Firia sir.
Ji, Dr. Rubina Yali Madan.
Yeah,
I
like
just want to share my personal experience. Like, you know how sometimes we feel like, is this real world that we are talking about, like the Batini world? Is this real? But when I'm doing the zikr through my mouth during these, sessions or any other sessions, sometimes when I'm just not doing anything, I still hear those zikr into me. And when I pause and I come into my awareness, and I was like, what was that? It was like I was hearing those zikrs into myself, where I was not doing through my mouth, but I was still hearing those zikrs. So shukran ali Allah, and I just wanted to share this to all of our friends, and just wanted to share that happiness. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is one wave of light which we have explained.
I have a question.
Yes.
We talked about it yesterday about the mountain. Is there any book in which it is written a bit more about it? Is it Allama Sahib's
I
book?
know Allama Sahib has written a lot about that mountain. Mountain is forehead, mountain is akal, and actually it's not um, this mountain we are talking about, because everything relates to the personal world. Everything is the Quran is the story of personal world. So it's like external world is an example, but Mamsul, the meaning of that example is the personal world. So mountain in this world means our forehead, means the bones of our body. So Pir Nasir Khusro has also explained that all of the hadiya, which are bones, represent the mountains in this world. So when Noor or when we immersed into the Noor, Noor enters into the personal world in and out of every cells. So each cells of the bones and the skins and the flesh, Noor will enter. And people have experienced that they have been awakened with that Noor. So this is one explanation, but if you read maybe Hazar Hikmat, Thousand Wisdom, and Kitabul Ilaj, Book of Healing, a very well explanation is given about mountains and Musa, Hazrat Musa's story.
So yesterday when we looked at the physical side of the mountain, we talked about the Hujat and the Pir and the
Yeah.
Dai. So do they have ilm laduni from the Imam? And then when you would they physically, if you approach the mountain, will they physically talk to you?
If I can understood your question, you saying that can we physically, they can speak to us? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes. So in your personal world, you will be able to recognize them, and you can converse with them.
Right. But
But that will be
physically,
in personal world.
yeah. But physically you can't.
Physically, no.
Oh,
Physically, it is not possible because there are laws, physical laws, and that is like governed by nature. So that laws will never change.
because I thought that maybe because the mountain has a soul and the Nur will enter into the soul and the Nur and the mountain will speak.
Yeah. So the soul which mountain has, that soul is a vegetative soul or mineral soul, not the vegetative. So
Right.
mineral soul has a limitation of not moving and not speaking,
Right.
because they do not have akal. So it's since they have mineral soul, they can do in their limited characteristics what they have.
Okay. And the diagram that you mentioned about the personal world, is that you will see this wakefulness and all that after the personal world has opened, or will that happen before the personal world?
Yeah, it is before, because in imagination is our world. This is our alame khayal. If you can do whatever you want in khayal. You can bring America in blink of an eye. You can bring anyone in your khayal. So that means the imagination, world of imagination is still there, but still is not become nurani, not become spiritual. And similarly, world of dream and world of spirituality. So they are very connected, but they are dependent on the world of wakefulness.
So the wakefulness.
Question in chat that right etiquette for giving Shajudidar, which side first? So it depends how we do it. Usually we move to right side, but then if we move to right side, then everybody will move to right side. Then how could we see each other?
Yes.
So it is a discipline where it should be like I have seen in Jamaat of Afghanistan, they have very good discipline that they know that the corner person will move towards the left while all other will move toward right. So in that way, everybody will see each other in the same way. But we do have this understanding that any side you do, you do both side, and we should able to see both of our companion. And when you do Shadidar, you look into each other eye. So this is basic etiquettes that we look into eye of each other, and then we pray that may the companion gets Zahiri and Batini Didar.
We can take the last question from the chat. Friends asking, what about seeing angels in Jamaat Khana?
So, like few people, they experience that in Jamaat Khana they saw something, could be angel, but basically angels are from ourself, like from the human being. So the latif part or the subtle part of ourself is the angel. So there can be experiences where somebody could have seen angel, or somebody could have experienced coming of angel. That could be possible because Imam Sultan Shah has said that आप सब फरिश्तों जैसे हैं. So all smiley spiritual children are basically like Ferishta. So because one part of our being is latif, is subtle. So one part of ourself is Ferishta. So we can say that we all have a portion or a potential of being Ferishta. So if you see someone in somebody's who is not physically there, but you can see that person in Jamaat Khana, or maybe Imam, or maybe some noble person, then you can say that that person's Ferishta or manifestation of Ferishta, you have seen it.
And thank you so much, Dr. Saiba. We can end the session over here since it's a Majlis today. Yeah. Thank you so much,
I understand.
Dr.
So thank you very much, Yali Madad.
Malali Madad. Wish you all a very happy Salgira Mubarak.
Ameen, Ameen, Yali Madad.
Ameen.
Yari
Mola
Madad, thank you.
Yali Madad.